Welcome to ReactJS video series. In this video, I'm going to talk about props and props type in ReactJS. So before jump to the code, I'll just give you a brief about props and props type. And then later I'll demonstrate you how to use in your code. So what is the props? Props are basically immutable. Means once you assign, you cannot editable. Props is used to pass information from one component to other component, but the relation must be between the component is parent and child. So you can say like props, you can pass information from parent component to child component, and we said it's immutable means you cannot edit, and props can be passed using a two-way. The first one is we can use through the attributes, like this is the component, and you can see the first property is their first name Brijesh, last name Kumar. So this is the one way. The second way is you can use spread operator. Spread operator means you can club multiple properties in a one object, and then that object we assign to a one variable like const person, and then this variable you can pass with three dot, and that three dot is spread operator. So this is the efficient way when you want to pass like multiple properties in a component, then this is the efficient way to use spread operator. I'll demonstrate you in my code like how to use using attribute or using spread operator. Okay, the next one is a props type. Props type is basically used to do a runtime type checking. A runtime type checking means suppose you just define some variable, some property like first name. Now you wanted to see, okay, you want first name must be a string, or age must be a numeric or something. So you can define it so that the chances are very less to get a runtime error. Otherwise, if suppose you have variable age, and if age, if someone give like 1 2 3 4 5, or maybe age someone give like Bridges, then this is not a correct value for that age property. So in that case you can define it here like first name is like props type dot string, means it must be a string, and is required means it's a mandatory, you have to pass it anyway. So this is the way how you can do it. The second thing, we can define the default props. Default props is the that time we define when suppose in a component we are passing some properties like first name, maybe the same component used by someone else and he forget to pass, and after that if he forget to pass but in the component you are using that variable, and if someone not passing the value, then you get undefined issues or you get some reference issues, then in that case runtime error happen, then your system, your application will break. In that case, if to handle this situation, if someone is not passing some variable, then you can take it as a default props. Means if someone is not passing first name, then you take it first name as a blank value. So the chances are very less to break your application. Okay, but for this props type, to use this props type, you have to use node package manager props type. So you have to install like npm I means install props type dash dash save, so automatically it's installed in your system and save in your package.json file. So now let's see how we can use it in application. Sorry. So here we already have one main parent component where we have constructor and everything. Now I'm gonna create a one child component. Okay, let's see. So import react from, okay, and I'll just rename this component is like detail component.js. Okay, so I just name it a detail component. You can rename it anyway, and then you can use the same component. You can use like class component extend react.component class. We can use detail component extend react dot component. Okay, in the same way we are using constructor this and render, but here we are just simply creating a component, so we don't need to define the constructor because we are not going to use any state or something. So we can use the render because render is returning the element values. Okay, so render is div, and here just for testing purpose I'm just passing okay. Okay, sorry. So we are using this way, and then export default, and then we can use this component. Okay, so now component is ready, and this component, this detail component, I'm gonna call inside the parent component. So before calling this component here, we need to reference this component on the top so that the parent know okay where that component is located. So from say component slash default component. Okay, so now reference is added. Now we can use this way, and I just put it this component here. Okay, save it. Oops, I'm getting something. Oh, sorry. As we said, render function always return something. Okay, so I missed that return. Okay, okay, now you can see this is the child component, what we call inside the parent component in app.js. So app.js is the parent component. We call this details component, and then you can see Brijesh, Kumar, and then the third element is a child component. So in this way you can call multiple child component as per your need. Now I'm just gonna remove this thing from here, and I wanted to put this information inside the component. Then what happened? Okay, I'm gonna put it here. Okay, something is breaking, it's okay. Now that information, so I want to display first name and last name in a component, then we can pass this information through the props. So we can say like this way, and we can pass last name. Okay, so this is the user defined properties, first name and last name, and this is the first name and last name, the values what we are getting from the state, and assign it here. Now once we pass the value inside the component, we can go here in component, and now we can extract that information. So we can say const first name, sorry, last name, and this information, sorry. Okay, and this information we are getting from this dot props. Okay, so simple. So we are passing this information and we get this information inside the props. So this dot props have value first name and last name. You can see here when we pass the information is there. Now we have a click event. If I click on here, then what happened? We change the first name and last name, means now currently showing Brijesh Kumar, but when I click on this button, then this click handler will work, and this click handler work is to change the first name and last name. Then let's see what happened. Awesome. So you can see here first name and last name is changed, then automatically the page render, and then this updated state values we are passing in the component, and then this component going here, displayed, and then you can see. So this is the way how you pass using attribute like in a component. Now the second way we can pass this information through spread operator. Let's see how we can use spread operator. So we can use constant person, and then I just create a JSON object, first name, last name, and that person we can call like this way, curly braces, 3 dot, that is the spread operator, and person. Great. You can see I just pass this way person, and automatically when I go here this dot props, you can see the information about the props here, and go the first name and last name and display it here. Now if I click on again click handler, then what happens when I click on this button, the click handler change the first name last name with Amit and Singh, and that information whenever we change the state, automatically it render the page. So this page will render, and that when page is rendered, then we get the latest state information in first name and last name. Again we can do it here person, and then pass it to the component, and then you can see. Great. You can see Amit Singh instead of Brijesh Kumar. So this is the way how to pass using spread operator. Now okay, so here now we can use, now I want to restrict user so that in first name he can pass only string value, means numeric is not allowed. So what happened and how to do it here, we can use this dot, and then as I said in my PowerPoint presentation, we can use a props type here. Okay, so we are using props prop types, and then now I can put it here like this, and then okay, but for the props type you have to define, you have to import first, import prop types from prop types. Okay, and then this prop type we can use here dot, we can define a string. Okay, working fine, nothing is breaking. Okay, I can just refresh it. Yep, everything is fine. Now it's time to pass here some, instead of bridges I'm just passing 1 2 3. Oops, you can see here in a screen you can see the warning, failed props type, invalid props first name of type number is supplied to detail component, expected is string, because Here I just define first name props type must be a string, but here I'm passing a numeric value. That's why I'm getting error. But here if I replace it with some string value, save it, perfectly fine. You can see. So props type is basically a strict user to define a specific type of data. The second one is default props. What happen when I'm using a default props? So default props basically work to tell system, okay, like if you're not passing any information, I just take it default. So for example, this dot default props, okay. So I said first name is by default. If you are not passing any information, I just pass like unknown. For example, I just for demonstrate, I just use unknown. Otherwise you can make it null or blank. Okay, so I said if default values is unknown. So you can see here I'm passing first name, last name in component, and then you can see here first name, last name, and then okay, perfectly fine. But now according to this condition, if we are not passing first name as a parameter over there in a component, then in that case what happened? Okay, so I'm just going to remove this and I'm passing only last name. You can see here in a screen, when I'm passing only last name, then our page is not breaking because it get some values. Like if you're not passing anything, okay, it's getting unknown. We are just displaying unknown here. So this is the work what default props does. And this props type have multiple like array, boolean, numeric, string, and many more. So you can define on the base of your need, you can define the types here, and then you can use it and to avoid a runtime error. So this is basically the fundamental of props, how you pass information from parent to child, and information like how you use props type to define default props or props type. If you have any doubt, any clarification, just send me and then I'll get back to you. Thank you so much.